Well, hello there, friends, and welcome to another video. I'm cleansing and clearing the energy before we get hot and heavy today. I'm Tara Kindon, the Celestial Manifester, and in today's video, we are going all in on the full moon in Gemini. It is at 16 degrees of Gemini, and it is bound to be a doozy of a full moon. The energy that's building up to it is this intense revelation, something new being like coming to your awareness, being birthed. Watch, I'm going to set off the fire alarm in my space right now, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. So anyways, we are going to start with the astrology and then we're going to move into the human design. And then for those of you who are brand new, who are curious about like, why are we bringing these two beautiful ancient languages together? The reason for that is this. The astrology is your foundation. It is the framework. It is immovable. It is who you are at your core. And the beauty of this energy is that once you get to know it very intimately, you understand how your energy wants to go and flow, and you work with it in a way that feels, very empowered. That human design layer that is kind of the next level of building the house, it's the walls, it's the beautiful decor, and you have an opportunity, blow a wall out here or there, move this furniture around, adjust the things. You can energetically understand how your energetic signature wants to engage with other people, with the environment, and you can kind of like manipulate that energy, and not in like a sketchy manipulation kind of way, but like you can manipulate the energy to feel better, right? So our emotions are such a good indicator with our human design because they teach us how that energy wants to move, because emotions are basically just energy in motion, and learning how to harness or really understand your emotional set point is the key to a happy life. So when you know your emotions and you're tuned and tapped into that, you're more intuitive, you're more aware, you're more connected, and it's a really beautiful place to be. So that's why I share both of these pieces with you in my own unique way and my interpretation of what they mean. So take it or leave it, totally up to you, but here it is. So let's start with the beautiful astrology. Let's go in deep. Let's look at all the juicy stuff that's happening. And hopefully you see that chart right now. Okay. So this is the gorgeous chart. You see a lot of energy happening on the, right side of the chart, which is really saying that this is such an others focused energy. Like our attention is on everything else going on, other people, other things. So being aware of that and making sure to check in with yourself, tune in with yourself. Like, how do I feel about all of this stuff? I also have a ton of extra points in here, which I probably should have taken out, but just to blow your brains a little bit more, I do use a lot of feminine asteroids in my work and in the charts because they are very important, and they help you to understand, how the feminine, the divine feminine really wants to be expressed in this particular, at this particular time in this particular chart. So let's look here to see, I'm joking on the smoke, people, too much smoke. So the rising of this chart is Virgo, and we have Ceres sitting right on that ascendant, which is very interesting to me because it's just like there is something that wants to be built, grown, planted. Like there's something being seeded here, or an awareness of something that was seeded that is like now starting to take root. Who knows? I don't know how that will show up for you, but just something to be aware. Where is the Virgo in your chart? Just look to see where that is, because maybe that's where something is being seeded, or that the little buds are starting to come out. The roots are taking what's the word I'm looking for? They're taking root and they're starting to grow. It's something that could be potentially happening there for you. Now, when we look at the chart, we always say, okay, full moon, the moon is on one side, the sun is on the other side. So you'll see moon is up here at the top of the chart in Gemini, and this is the full moon in Gemini. And then opposite to that in Sag is the sun. So the moon is conjunct Mars, and Mars is straight up out of bounds. He's in retrograde. He's feeling really frustrated. He's kind of like has all this energy and it's up here and he has nowhere to take it. So it's almost like he's running around in the clouds and he hasn't been able to like put his legs down on earth. And that's felt very frustrating to him because he's got all these great things he wants to get started. And with the moon there, he's really feeling like there's all this feeling around what you want to do and where you want to go, but it may be like you don't know what to do with it all. So that can be very frustrating to have all this knowledge and wisdom, and like Gemini being very witty and this like education, this expandedness, and all these things you want to kind of like take somewhere, but right now they just are. They don't really have anywhere to go. And that's that sort of like between Gemini and Sag. Sag is like big expansion. Let's go do this thing. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get into action and move it. But that Gemini piece is like, we're learning, we're studying, we're going through it. And when he's in retrograde, it's like, it's taking a little bit longer to put it all together. And it just is what it is. It's okay. It's timing, divine timing is a big thing here. I'm having the patience while this is happening, especially if you are feeling frustrated, if you're feeling a little bit like angry that you can't get things rolling and moving. What do you need to learn more here before you can move it forward? What do you need to perfect here before you can move it forward? Work on, revise, revisit, redo before you actually take action on it, if that makes sense. And then it's interesting when we have like Pallas Athena as the goddess of wisdom conjunct Black Moon Lilith here, and she's kind of a little fire starter in Cancer, which is that caring, nurturing, loving, take care of all the people kind of vibe. And they're conjunct here. It makes me think like we are getting some interesting wisdom right now around like, and some of you may be diving deeper into astrology. Some of you may be diving deeper into cards and more spirituality, more of your own wisdom, tapping into herbs or all the things, because there is this transformation taking place. They are opposite Pluto down here. We think like Pluto in Capricorn is still blowing up structures and still really changing the system. And I just get this sense like the witches are starting to come out of the closet, and there is this like undercurrent of, hey, we know something feels fishy. We know something isn't right now. We're not sure exactly what it is, but with this full moon energy, you might get an awakening like, boom, oh my God. Yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking and feeling. And now I'm like, you can't deny it anymore. There is this kind of like awakening that I feel is happening. Mercury down here in Capricorn, he's fine. Like he's been in Sag hanging out with Venus for, a while. I think it was like a couple of weeks. And he's not that far off from her. And they've been like having a good time, spending money, making the big vision. They've been revitalizing, doing or rethinking the way you want to communicate your divine feminine story with the world. And now it's almost like that Mercury gets some boots to the ground, and he's able to move it forward. Where when it was up in Sag, it was like, boom, we're still expanding, we're still thinking about, we're still envisioning and all the things. And it was very crazy and hectic. Like when Mercury was in Sag, I had a lot of friends who were like manifesting generators, or like, they spoke so fast. I was like, whoa, like I can comprehend quickly, but you got to slow your roll because I can't understand a word you're saying. So if you felt like that was happening for you, now it's going to slow down a little bit, and you're going to start to be able to communicate more clearly, more concisely, and, put those things on paper or in an article or on a post or whatever it is you want to do with them, or have that conversation with somebody that it matters with, right? And Venus, she's still spending. She's having a good time. She's in all her glory here, having a wild time in Sag, but she's conjunct Hygeia, who is the goddess of health and wellness. So there's this energy of thinking maybe I'm overspending. Maybe I'm not valuing myself enough here. Maybe I need to stop drinking so much, eating so much, too much caffeine, too much, too much, too much. It's an awareness. It's an awareness here that you're being gifted. Okay, maybe I can just slow this down a little bit so that when January or whenever comes around, you're not like, ooh, when the credit card bill comes in, when you go and step on the scale, like whatever the thing is. It's just an awareness. Be aware so that you don't, check yourself before you wreck yourself. That is the advice that I'm kind of like picking off of this vibe. So what else do we want to go to here? We've got Saturn trining this Mars and this moon. So there is some help here, some structure, some authority with all of these big visions you're having around or emotions you're having around really wanting to move something forward, that there is a structure being built here in the background, and know that it just is taking a little bit more time, but it's going to be set up correctly, set up in the right way so that you have a chance to move something forward that has legs. It's going to last, something lasting, long lasting. Okay. And then we have, Jupiter at that last degree before he moves from Pisces into Aries. So something I've been doing with clients is we've, really been working on your last 12 years, because when Jupiter moves into Aries, he starts a brand new 12-year cycle. And this energy is very present. It's like, what do we need to clean up, clear out, get rid of, look at? Where have we been maybe denying some things or not really looking or celebrating ourselves? Like 12 years is a long time. You've probably done 1,000 things, started a business, dumped a business, found a partner, dumped a partner, maybe had a baby. What are all the things that you've done? Maybe you've written a book, maybe you've published a website, maybe you've done all of these things, but you haven't even looked back to see how amazing you are and what you've been able to accomplish in that 12-year period. Because when we move into this new place, remember, we've been working on the vision, like with that Venus and that Mercury together. We've been really thinking about our big vision. How worthy do I feel of doing this big thing? And maybe you have a goal of becoming a TEDx speaker, or you have a goal of starting a YouTube channel and you've been terrified to do it, but now you're like, I'm going to do it, right? If you look back at 12 years to see how much you've been able to accomplish, then it's easier to really envision the potentiality of where you're going, because you have proof. When you don't have proof, you're like, yeah, but who am I to do it? Who are you not to do it if you've done all these things, right? So it's a really nice exercise to kind of look back. I encourage you to do it. It's been very powerful and very effective. And what's interesting is, we have a lot of feminine aspects hanging out here together in Pisces. So we have Vesta, hard fire, Estrella, Juno, goddess of marriage. Estrella is like, she's no BS. She's like goes in for the kill, shoots her lightning rod, and it's like, this is what I want. This is what we're doing. She's like, it's again very similar to this palace wisdom, right? So when we look at these three together, just hanging out here in Pisces, there's an element of creativity. We're burning through the creative fires. We're thinking about our partnerships and how we want to be in relationship, how we want to be in marriage, and what it could look like differently. So, that's an undercurrent that's happening as well. So now I'm going to take you into the human design so we can kind of land this a little bit deeper. So let me pull up the beautiful chart for the human design, and you can see just how magical. All right, here we go. So you should be able to see this. So we're all running around as emotional manifestors. So if you're feeling more emotional around this full moon, this is normal. Remember, emotions are energy in motion, so they need to move. because they're connected to the emotional solar plexus, there's this element of really needing your creative juices to be flowing and going. So whatever that is for you, if you need to be in meditation, if you need to be writing, if you need to be singing, speaking, doing yoga, walking, exercising, making love, whatever you need to do that's unleashes that creative energy for you. There's also, when we look here, okay, I'm just trying to think, like, where are you at? Those of you who are mainly coming here. So when you have an open center, it means you're amplifying the energy around you or through the transits, okay? So we have a lot of openness around the root, the sacral, the G center, the will center, and the spleen center. So I can intuit this as like, there's just a lot of pressure here to be getting things done, and you don't have the workforce life energy to do it all. And you also don't even know which way you're going, you may feel like, and then you don't have any willpower, and you may be feeling so overwhelmed by fear or intuition or instinct that you're like, so deep breaths. If that's how you're feeling, deep breaths. You have so much creative energy within you that it's time to tap into that energy and speak from your feelings. Speaking from your feelings during this full moon is going to be really effective. Journaling it out, bringing it to the paper will help it bring into manifest. You're connected to super consciousness. When we have this defined head in ajna, it's like you are, boom, plugged into super consciousness. You know what's what. You don't know how you know it, but you just know it. That's the vibe. So the sun is sitting in gate 5, which is down here off the sacral. And this is like consistency. This is needing ritual. This is needing rhythm. You know, if we're shining in that light of rhythm and ritual and routine, what is your rhythm, ritual, and routine? And are you consistent with it? Okay. We need to be grounded in the 35. And the 35 is all about experience. Okay. So what experiences have you had in your life, you know, that are teaching you more about your value and your worth? Okay. So what are those for you? What are those experiences? This is that bringing to light this thing. This is where Mars is and the Earth is. And I believe the moon is also there, even though it's saying it's in the 45. When we looked at the other chart, the moon and Mars are conjunct. For some reason, the HD chart is throwing it in a gate, like a gate over, but hey, whatever. You know, think about that energy of experience, because then this element here, if the moon is in the 45, which is just close by, it's saying to you, you have all of the knowledge that you need, but you forget how valuable your knowledge and experience is. So it's a remembering of, hey, it's not just how much money I have, it's how much intellect I have. And the intellect is just as valuable as the riches. It's almost, you know, it's like even more valuable at times. But it's the stories that you're telling, right, through that 35, the experiences that, you know, which experiences have you had are worthy and worthwhile of sharing, because as you share these stories with other people, you help elevate them into their own worth and their own value. Does that make sense? Regardless of if you're a teacher or teaching, this helps you understand that what we say about ourselves, about our experiences, impacts other people regardless of what kind of position that you're in. Okay. North Node is sitting in the gate of blessings, the gate 24. And the gate of blessings, you know, it's really seeing the experiences that you've had and the transformations that you've had because of those experiences, finding the blessings in some of those really hard experiences, because they weren't all easy, you know, and it's the ability to redefine, again, this is that redefining piece, the stories around that experience, right, into a more worthy experience. Because there's ways that people can tell stories about experiences that have caused them pain in an uplifting and liberating way. And then there's ways that people tell those stories, it's like, ooh, and it's almost like it's not complete yet. So if you've completed that part of your life, you know, look at the story you were telling around it and see if there's a way for you to revise it. This is where that illumination under the full moon, it's like looking at things much more holistically than you were able to see them before, because you can see it for what it truly was. South Node's down here in truth. So this is an element of like things really coming to light, seeing the patterns that have caused you pain, to be able to transform those elements in a, breaking cycles and patterns of pain and really coming into a higher value. There's a lot of like looking at these stories. And that's what I was saying, like, look back over the 12 years. What stories in that 12 years were celebratory and which ones were painful? And how can you transform the stories of the painful experiences into a more powerful, uplifting story for you and for the world? Okay. So we talked about the moon. Mercury is in the gate 10. This is the gate of self-love. Do you love yourself enough to transform the story is kind of what I'm getting. And Venus is up here in the 11. Okay. So this is the conceptualist. This is ideas. And remember, she's in Sag. So she's got ideas for days. She's rolling. She's excited. The vision is expanding. If you're getting so many ideas, you don't know what to do with them, you need an ideas book. Get an ideas book, write down all the ideas. This is like the number one thing I tell clients who have this. I have this gate as well. So whenever I get an idea, I put it in the book, and the ideas that keep coming forward, I'm like, okay, it's time to move on that. And I just intuitively know when it's time to move on it, and you will too, right? So again, Mars is in the 35. He's hanging out with the Earth, and I feel like the moon is there too. But they're hanging out in that gate of experience, okay? Remember, gate experience. And then Jupiter's in the gate of spirit, expanding, wanting us to be in deep connection with the cosmos. What are you cosmically connected to? Do you trust, do you believe in universal support and power? That it's here to support you. Can you trust in that even when you can't see signs of it actually being there physically for you? Because maybe it doesn't feel like it is sometimes. So how can you recalibrate your heart to be in receptivity, to be in receivership? Saturn is down here in the 49, the catalyst, and he's like getting things going, sparking the thing, transforming the things to help us build the better structure for our lives and for ourselves. And Uranus, who's that rogue entrepreneur. Remember when I was saying, like, with that gate of spirit, can you trust? Can you trust? Well, the allowing is the gate that Uranus is in, and he's the rogue entrepreneur blowing things up. He's saying to you, you can't see right now where we're headed, but can you lean back and feel like there's this big universal hug holding you, so that you can go ahead and do your thing, regardless of whether you feel like you got the finances, whether you feel like you got the support, whether you feel like you know where you're going. Do you believe, do you feel that that's even possible for you? And this is where we learn how to allow, how to lean back, how to trust, even when we can't see it. Okay. And Neptune, which is higher consciousness, higher mind, really connecting us to the higher realms, is in gate 36 and connecting to that 35, where Mars, Earth, and the moon are hanging out together. It's like there's this massively big spiritual connection happening here in how we feel and how we're able to communicate that. So that Neptune here in the gate 36 is the gate of exploration. Are we exploring new paths, looking in new directions, seeing what's possible for us? Are we able to play in that, or are we feeling stuck? And that stuckness can be that Pluto in the gate 60, and that's the gate of conservation. So if you're focusing on what's not working instead of what is working, this could be the glitch out. This could be where you're having a problem and a little challenge right now. So I encourage you and invite you to say, what is working for me? Because if you remember, like I've talked about this before, this ability to manifest. And I know like there's a lot of manifestation techniques out there, but literally this is how simple it can be for you. If you want it to be simple, if you want it to be hard, you need to watch somebody else's channel, because I want to keep it so simple for you that like you can do this. You think about all of the beautiful potentials, all the possibilities. You get excited about something. When you get excited about something, all these, there's like a photon storm that happens in your brain, and it fires all this little like electrical light storm in your mind. And then it creates a feeling. So the feeling that's created from your thoughts is either going to be like high level or low level. You get to decide, right? And so if you're feeling excited, what's going to happen is those feelings are going to be like excited as well. And that's going to start to calibrate through the heart center. Ooh, this energetic force field that says, yeah, baby, like bring me more of this juicy goodness, because it's so exciting, so fun, so liberating, like so what I want, right? But if you think about all these things and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, who am I to do this thing? Well, then you're feeling just like plummeted and you start to feel crappy. You start to believe in crappy stuff and all the things. Well, then you're only going to calibrate more of that. Like it's literally that simple. So if you catch yourself, you're excited, you're thinking about all these things, then all of a sudden everything just kind of like goes into the toilet. You stop, just like stop it. Stop the thinking, stop that, just let it go. Go on about your business. And then when you feel like you can approach that energy again from this like excited, okay, potential, we get back into the thing. And then you start to feel like, what could it feel like? How long can you hold the frequency of the feel good? The longer you can hold the frequency of the feel good, the faster you can magnetize all the things you've ever wanted in your life. Boom. It's that simple. But people make this harder than it needs to be and more painful. And we go on about how hard done by we are and how hard it is. But it doesn't need to be that hard. It can be easy. You just have to choose easy. How easy can I make this? How much more fun could this be? So with this full moon, let the illumination really turn you on, light you up, see things for what they actually are, and then make the path, create the plan. Think about where you're headed. I mean, we still have 4 weeks left of 2022. I know everybody's talking about like 2023 is going to be amazing. But I was like, why can't you make the rest of 2022 even more amazing? Like you've got time here. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there is still time for you in this year to really get clear, like, oh yeah, baby, I'm going to change this about me right now. Like I've decided this is what's happening. This is how I'm going to do it. Give yourself the opportunity to shift, to change, to do the thing. And I just want to invite you into the DFF. If you're not in the DFF, it's the Divine Feminine Frequency. It's this daily Voxer that I put out into my private group. And it's like, where is the moon? Where is Venus? How can this affect you emotionally, energetically? How can it affect your magnetism? How can it affect your money, honey? And it's helping you really navigate your days from a place of power, a place of knowing. It's like, you can see if I give you the heads up in the day that, okay, today's not a great day for communicating some big heavy duty stuff. You're not going to do it. And you're going to see the wheels coming off other people's buses, but not yours because you already know. It gives you more like a heads up. And it feels really good to know that because your friends are like, wait a second. I've had girls in the DFF whose friends are like, what are you doing? What are you doing that's different? It's $11 a month and you can sign up for 7 days for free. So I'll put that link below in the video. And I want to say this. Badass Breakthrough starts on Wednesday on the actual beautiful full moon. Well, I think actually it's the 8th for where I am. Some of you it may be on the 7th, but like the 7th of December is when the Badass Breakthrough starts. And the celestial boxes are also now for sale and available. So I'm going to put all those links below, everyone. And just like, I'm peacing out right now. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I love being in your vibes. Thank you for inviting me into your homes, your phones, all the places. I'm excited to be here with you. And I have something new coming down the pipes, a beautiful new podcast called Cosmically Connected. And you'll hear all about that very soon, but I'm just going to put that little bug in right now. All right, everyone. So much love to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful full moon.